The grand celestial palace floated above a field of glowing stars, shining brighter than any world in the galaxy. Every corner of the palace was covered with silver lights and crystal walls that reflected the universe like a mirror. This place was not just beautiful, it was the heart of the entire galaxy. And today was the most important day in its history, the Queen's choosing ceremony. Thousands of alien ships surrounded the palace like a swarm of fireflies. Every species, every tribe, every powerful kingdom had sent their greatest suitor. All of them came for one purpose: to win the heart of Queen Althea, the galaxy's most desired queen. Queen Althea stood on her golden balcony, watching the huge hall below fill with different alien suitors. Some were tall like mountains, some had wings made of light, some had glowing skin, and some had strange, beautiful shapes that humans could not even imagine. Every suitor carried gifts: rare crystals, ancient weapons, cosmic flowers, and treasures worth entire planets. Althea was calm, graceful, and powerful. Her long silver hair flowed like stardust. Her eyes held the wisdom of hundreds of years. She knew every suitor wanted her for power, status, or alliances. None of them truly knew her. None of them cared for her heart. But still, the ceremony had to begin. The royal speaker announced loudly, "Let the suitors step forward and show their worth to the queen." The hall shook as the first suitor, a giant stone-armored warrior from Titan IX, walked forward. He struck the floor with his hammer, creating a shockwave of energy. The crowd cheered. Then came a glowing telepath from the moon of Eris. She used her mind to lift heavy pillars without touching them. Everyone clapped. Another suitor, a prince from the Fire Nebula, breathed blue flames that danced in the air like living creatures. Power. Strength. Magic. Show-off after show-off. Queen Althea watched with a polite smile, but her eyes stayed emotionless. She had seen all of this before. Suddenly. Beep. 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 The palace alarms screamed loudly. All movement stopped. All suitors froze. The guards pulled out their laser staffs. A portal, a strange, twisting ring of blue light, opened right in the center of the hall. Sparks flew in every direction. The portal looked unstable, like it would explode any second. Everyone stepped back. Then, a human boy fell out of the portal and landed face-first on the shiny floor. The entire hall went silent. A small, confused voice rose from the ground. "Ouch, where am I?" The boy stood up slowly. He wore simple earth clothes, jeans, a gray t-shirt, and a half-broken tool belt. His hair was messy, his hands were dirty, and he looked like he had been fixing something before falling here. His name was Ethan Walker, a normal mechanic from Earth. A planet so far and so primitive that most aliens didn't even consider it important. The crowd burst into laughter. A human? From that weak planet? Is this a joke? Throw him out. Guards surrounded Ethan with their weapons raised. He looked around nervously. I didn't mean to come here," he stammered. "Something went wrong with the machine I was fixing." The royal speaker shouted, "Human! You have entered a restricted royal event. How did you activate intergalactic travel?" Ethan looked truly lost. "I don't know. One moment I was repairing a broken device, then a blue light swallowed me, and now I'm here." Aliens whispered among themselves. "No human can travel across galaxies. He's lying. He must be a spy." The guards prepared to arrest him. But then, Queen Althea raised her hand. The entire hall fell silent again. "Leave him," she said calmly. Everyone stared at her in shock. The speaker whispered, "Your Majesty, he is just a human. He has no power, no purpose, no royal blood. He should not be here." Althea stepped closer to Ethan. Her eyes softened slightly. "What is your name?" she asked. Ethan. "Ethan Walker," he replied. "And you say you arrived here by an accident?" "Yes, I swear. This place. I don't even know what this place is." The aliens laughed again. To them, his words sounded pathetic. But Queen Althea did not laugh. She studied Ethan's face carefully. His fear was real. His confusion was real. His honesty was real. Unlike every suitor around her, he had no ego, no hidden agenda, no desire to impress. He was simply himself. Something inside her felt strangely calm. The speaker tried again. Your Majesty, please allow us to remove this human. He is weak and unimportant. But Althea said quietly, no. He stays. The hall echoed with gasps. A tall, angry suitor stepped forward. His body glowed red with rage. Why protect him? He is nothing. Althea did not even turn to look at the suitor. She kept her eyes on Ethan. Because, she said softly, there is something different about him. Ethan blinked. Different? Me? I'm just a mechanic. Althea smiled slightly. Exactly. The crowd grew uneasy. Jealousy and confusion filled the hall. Ethan swallowed hard. He didn't understand anything about this world, its rules, or this strange queen who was defending him for no reason. The queen turned to the gathering. Let the ceremony continue, she ordered. But everyone knew the ceremony could not continue normally now. Not after such a strange interruption. Not after the queen showed interest in a human. Whispers spread like wildfire. Why is she protecting him? Does she know him? Is this human dangerous? Does the prophecy mean something? Has the queen found something we cannot see? Ethan stood awkwardly, surrounded by thousands of alien eyes. He felt like a tiny insect in a room full of giants. But one thing was clear. Whether he wanted it or not, his arrival had changed everything. And the galaxy would never forget. The human no one expected. The palace guards led Ethan to a small circular room made of floating glass panels. Stars moved slowly outside the transparent walls, making him feel like he was standing in the middle of space itself. The room was silent, too silent. Ethan sat on a silver chair, tapping his feet nervously. He still couldn't believe everything that happened. One moment he was in his workshop on Earth fixing a broken device, and the next he was standing in front of alien royalty, embarrassing himself in front of thousands of strange beings. What is happening? He whispered to himself. Suddenly, the door slid open with a soft hum. Queen Althea stepped inside. Ethan immediately stood up, unsure if bowing was expected, but before he could figure it out, she raised a hand gently. No need to bow, she said with a calm voice. You are not one of my suitors. Ethan scratched his head awkwardly. Yeah. I think everyone already figured that out. A tiny smile appeared on the queen's face. She walked closer, her silver gown flowing like liquid moonlight. Up close, she looked less like a queen and more like a mysterious being with a soft, almost human kindness in her eyes. Ethan, she said slowly, I must ask you a few questions. It is important for the safety of the palace. Of course, Ethan replied quickly. I don't want any trouble. I swear I didn't mean to come here. Althea nodded. Tell me exactly what happened. Ethan took a deep breath. I was repairing an old machine someone found in a junkyard. It didn't look special, just old metal parts and wires. But when I connected the power supply, the machine lit up. Like it had been waiting for that moment. And then everything turned blue. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. And suddenly, I fell into your palace. The queen listened carefully, her expression unreadable. Do you still have the machine? She asked. No. It wasn't mine. A collector brought it to my shop. Althea's eyes narrowed slightly. Describe the machine. Ethan thought for a moment. Round, silver, had strange symbols on the sides. Not like anything from Earth. The queen's heart skipped a beat. Those symbols sounded familiar. Too familiar. She turned away, hiding the sudden spark of recognition in her eyes. For years, she had been told about a prophecy, one that many dismissed as a fairy tale. But the symbols Ethan described were the same symbols used in the ancient prediction, a prophecy about a stranger from a distant world, someone who would arrive without warning, without purpose, and without power. A stranger who would change everything. Althea didn't speak for a few seconds. Ethan felt the air grow colder around them. Then she asked, "Do you desire anything from me, Ethan? Power? Wealth? A way back home? A reward for appearing here?" Ethan's eyes widened. "No. I just want to understand what's going on. I don't want anything from you." His voice trembled with honesty. And that was the moment Queen Althea knew he was different. Every suitor she had ever met wanted something. Power. Influence. A throne. A future king's crown. But Ethan, this simple, confused human, wanted nothing. It was strange. And it matched the prophecy perfectly. Before she could ask more, the room shook violently. Boom! The walls flashed red. An angry voice echoed through the palace corridors. "Human! Come out and face me." Ethan froze. "What was that?" Althea sighed softly. "One of the suitors. He believes you insulted the ceremony." The door burst open and a tall red-skinned alien with glowing eyes stormed inside. His name was Krager, a warrior prince feared across 3 star systems. Sparks of fire crackled around his fists. "You dare protect this weak creature, my queen?" Krager roared. "He mocked our traditions." Ethan took a step back. "I didn't mock anything. I fell through a portal." But Krager didn't care. He lunged forward, and Ethan flinched, sure he was about to be crushed. A bright wave of silver energy exploded from the queen's hand, stopping Krager midair and throwing him backward. The entire palace trembled with the force. Ethan stared at her in shock. She had not even raised her voice. She didn't shout. She simply protected him without hesitation. Krager growled on the floor. "Why? Why defend him?" Althea stepped forward, her eyes glowing like twin blue suns. "Because this human carries something none of you possess," she said quietly. "Something more important than strength." Krager spit in anger. "And what is that?" Althea looked at Ethan again. Her voice softened. "Truth." The guards dragged Krager away, still shouting threats at Ethan. When the door finally closed, the queen turned back to the human boy. Ethan felt small under her gaze, but not scared, just confused. "Why did you protect me?" he asked. "For now," she said, "it is only a feeling. A very strange feeling. But I believe you did not come here by accident. Something brought you here, something old, something powerful." Ethan swallowed hard. "A machine? Or something else?" The queen did not answer immediately. Instead, she reached into a small crystal box and pulled out a glowing silver tablet, covered in the same strange symbols Ethan had described. The symbols lit up when she held it close to him. Ethan stepped back. What does that mean?" Althea whispered. "It means you were expected." The words hit Ethan like a shockwave. Expected? In another galaxy? By a queen he had never met? Before he could ask more, the palace bells rang, announcing the continuation of the ceremony. Althea placed the glowing tablet back into the box. "You must come with me," she said. "Your presence has already changed the balance. And the suitors will not accept this easily." Ethan nodded nervously. "What do I do?" "Stay close," the queen said. "And no matter what happens today, do not lie. Do not pretend. Be exactly who you are. That is the reason you are here." Ethan didn't fully understand. But he followed her anyway. Because somehow, he sensed she was the only person in this galaxy who believed him. And somewhere deep in the shadows of the palace, someone else was watching them. Someone who knew the prophecy even better than the queen.
Someone who wanted the human gone.
The grand celestial hall was brighter than before.
Thousands of lights floated above the audience like tiny stars.
The atmosphere was tense. Every suitor stood in their designated place, waiting for the queen to choose her partner. But today, the air felt different.
Heavier.
Sharper.
Almost dangerous. And at the center of it all stood Ethan.
A confused human surrounded by beings who could crush him with one finger. He tried to stand still, but his hands shook slightly. He had seen the suitors whispering, glaring at him, pointing at him like a mistake that ruined their perfect ceremony.
Queen Althea entered the hall with slow, graceful steps.
Her silver gown glowed brighter than ever, and her crown shone like a falling star. But her eyes were locked on Ethan.
The whispers grew louder. Why does she look at the human? She cannot choose him. How can a queen choose someone without power? A deep, humming bell echoed through the palace, announcing the final moment.
The royal speaker stepped forward. Today, Queen Althea will choose the one who will stand by her side as the future king.
Every suitor puffed up with pride, ready to shine. Except Ethan.
He took a tiny step back, thinking maybe he should hide behind a pillar. The queen raised her hand, signaling silence.
Before I choose, she said, there is something I must show all of you. Guards entered the hall carrying the glowing silver tablet, the same one Ethan had activated earlier without touching it.
They placed it on a tall crystal stand. The symbols on the tablet pulsed, reacting again to Ethan's presence.
Gasps filled the room. It reacts to him. But how? Is he connected to the ancient code?
Althea's voice echoed. These symbols were part of an ancient prophecy. A prophecy that said a stranger would arrive from a distant, powerless world.
A stranger who seeks nothing, and carries truth in his heart. Murmurs turned into panic. A prophecy? Impossible. He is just a human. The queen looked at Ethan. Step forward. Ethan nearly choked. Me?
Yes. His legs moved on their own. Step by step.
Slow, terrified, but honest.
When he reached the stand, the symbols glowed even brighter, filling the hall with soft silver light. The suitors flinched away as if the light exposed their hidden intentions.
Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the hall. The doors blasted open.
The red-skinned prince, Krager, stepped inside with a group of angry suitors.
His eyes burned with fury. You cannot be serious, Althea, he shouted. A human? A weak creature? He cannot be your choice. Althea did not respond.
She continued to stand tall, calm, and fearless. Krager raised his hand, gathering flames in his palm.
He does not belong here. He is nothing.
The flames grew hotter. Ethan ducked behind the tablet, even though it probably wouldn't protect him.
But before Krager could attack. Boom!
A blast of silver energy erupted from the queen, pushing every hostile suitor backward.
Some fell.
Some slid across the floor.
Some simply froze in fear.
She stepped forward, her voice sharper than a blade.
Enough! The entire hall fell silent. Althea looked at the suitors one by one, her gaze strong and unbreakable.
You show power, she said.
But not heart. You show strength. But not truth. You speak of honor, yet you fear one human boy who has no weapon, no training, no lineage.
Her voice lowered.
That fear itself shows your weakness. Many suitors lowered their heads, ashamed. Krager growled. He is not worthy.
The queen turned to Ethan, her eyes soft but full of meaning.
That is where you are wrong. He is worthy. Not because he is powerful. Not because he is skilled. But because he is honest.
Because he came with nothing and asked for nothing.
A new voice rose in the hall. The royal speaker asked carefully, Your Majesty. Do you choose him? The hall held its breath.
The stars outside seemed to pause. Even the palace lights dimmed slightly.
Then Queen Althea spoke. Yes. I choose the human. A wave of shock burst through the crowd. Some gasped. Some shouted. Some fell to their knees.
Some simply stared, unable to believe what they had heard.
Ethan froze completely. His mind blank. His mouth hanging open. Me? Choose me? Why? I can't.
He couldn't form a real sentence.
Althea smiled gently. Calm down, Ethan. You don't have to be anything other than who you already are. Krager roared, You will regret this, Althea.
Althea stepped in front of Ethan, protecting him.
You threaten your queen?
Krager hesitated, but then something unexpected happened. The lights in the palace flickered.
Then faded. All except the silver glow of the tablet.
A cold wind swept through the hall even though there was no air inside the palace. A deep, ancient voice echoed from nowhere and everywhere at the same time.
The choice has been made. Everyone froze.
The tablet lifted itself into the air and began spinning slowly. Symbols rearranged themselves into a single glowing message.
Althea translated it in a whisper. The human who carries truth will lead the queen into a new era. Their bond will awaken powers hidden for centuries. Ethan blinked. Wait, bond? What bond? I don't have powers. I can't even fix my microwave properly. A few aliens actually laughed nervously at that.
The spinning tablet released a pulse of bright light that washed over the entire hall.
When the light faded, Ethan felt something change inside him. Something small. Something quiet. Something ancient. He touched his chest. What was that? Althea whispered, almost to herself. It has begun. Krager stared at Ethan with new fear. He activated the prophecy. The galaxy will not accept this. Althea stood tall.
Then the galaxy will have to change.
Guards moved to protect Ethan as the hall erupted into chaos, arguments, protests, panic.
But the queen placed her hand gently on Ethan's shoulder.
Do not fear, she said softly. You were brought here for a reason. And now, your real journey begins. Ethan swallowed hard, feeling the weight of a destiny he never asked for.
He looked at the queen, then at the swirling stars beyond the palace walls.
He whispered. What happens now? Althea answered with calm certainty. Now, we face the galaxy together.
And somewhere in the shadows, a hidden enemy watched them both.
Smiling. Because Ethan's arrival had awakened more than a prophecy. It had awakened something dark. Something that wanted the human gone.